Video games are truly something special. They provide us with the possibility to play as those amazing characters with unique and unreal skills. For example, the only real reason I ever played League of Legends in the first place is because of the epic looking champions. I couldn't care less about your typical big ass, big titties and huge cleavage plastic doll of a character, but when you give me a literal queen of alien looking blind worms who screeches with a terrifying shriek to blast from the ground and rip apart her enemies, or an ancient scorpion who can hilariously drag anyone he wants anywhere he wants, I'm in. More examples of this can be found in the game that is the main topic of today, Overwatch. Heroes such as Reinhardt with his famous big armor, enormous rocket hammer and a big ol' shield to protect his teammates just scream power. Cyborg Ninja, who can dash and slash through enemy foes and can pull out a huge katana to be even more powerful, is just the beginning of what makes every character special in this game, except Symmetra. There's nothing special about Symmetra. But listen very carefully, because what if I told you that all of that fun, all of that power you behold can be taken away from you with a simple press of a button? And I'm not talking about just saving your prey with some healing, or someone did something strictly to you to counter you or stop your play. I'm talking about letting your shot be shot, and your hammer already swung, maybe even your well-timed grenade already hit the enemies, giving them some very good debuffs, and all of that not going to waste. No, it's all going straight back at you, doing enormous mental damage because anything that you just did has been erased. Period. All thanks to a funny bag of dust. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the most controversial, surely the most frustrating, and debatably the most OP and broken ability in Overwatch 2. That isn't an ultimate, of course. The Protection Suzu. Okay, Mr. Hey Simply, but why are you even doing this spectacular video in the first place? That is a great question, me. And honestly, there are many possible answers to that question, and all of them are equally important. First one, that is the most straightforward. I really don't like Kiriko, and especially her Suzu. Supporting a team by literally wiping everything that was done to them and making them invulnerable for almost an entire second, wherein FPS games all seconds matter, and if that wasn't enough, it also heals teammates, is to say the least very annoying. Making all my efforts to take down an enemy gamer being erased because this BS cringe hero appears out of nowhere and makes them become a Danny Phantom for a second isn't something very fun to experience. A counterpoint to that is all of the supports are able to do the same in some similar way. A Rein Shudder can be cancelled by a very well-timed sleep dart, a perfectly thrown disc, or even zoning everyone out with boops such as Rocket Mace from Bridget or Lucio's Sound Blast. But Kiriko just feels way better in every single way possible. Why sleep a Reinhardt when you can make your entire team invincible? Or why make them immortal and risk them dying with low HP after the lamp breaks, if you can just make them immortal with a sack of flour and prevent the stun entirely? To add more salt to the wound, I'll just remind you that as of 13th of February, Kiriko has her Suzu on a 14 seconds cooldown, and as I mentioned, it grants immortality for a short duration, and basically you are untouchable, unstunnable, and more adjectives that mean you cannot do nothing to them. And for comparison, the so-called immortality field of Baptiste is on a longer cooldown, that is 16 seconds. You might think that this isn't that bad, and yeah, if it was like this, then maybe I wouldn't have such a big problem with it. But I must admit, my dear viewers, I lied, because in reality, it's 25 seconds. I'm sorry, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we can shoot down the Suzu from mid-air so it doesn't activate. So, in one sentence, here is why I hate Protection Suzu so much. It's impossible to counter or prevent, its cooldown is pathetically short, and the mechanics of it are unfun to play against. Another great reason why I felt the need to speak out about this topic is because, big surprise, I like lurking around the community as well. Visit some subreddits dedicated to Overwatch, watch other content creators, enjoy nice rage compilations, and well, I'm not gonna lie, but from what I gathered, most of the community isn't the biggest fan of the Suzu. It all mostly boils down to one or two sentences commenting how broken and unbalanced and unfair the ability is. There aren't many in-depth analysis videos out there that dig deeper to find the exact reason why do we not enjoy the Suzu. Also, it is very important to address those issues as the current mechanics of the Suzu are creating a similar experience that made the original Overwatch 1 fall off. Before, it was because of the overdose of annoying stuns that were making you unable to move, but now it's something that makes you unable to do anything to your opponents. To wrap up this introduction, my last main reason why I wanted to create this masterpiece of a video material is also to debate a little, try to give counter-arguments to all the hate the ability gets, and try to shine a more positive light on the topics to see if it really is that necessary to change things up. But more on that later. That's why I also highly recommend and encourage you to, after watching this video, share your opinion in the comments and share your experiences with the community about the Protection Suzu, either positive or negative. All the points of view are valid here, and I will be extremely happy to have a friendly, peaceful discussion with all of you under the video. Maybe even Blizzard themselves would benefit from reading in-depth feedback from the community about this ability, and with all the pros and cons laid out for them. Enough talking around, let's already go to the main reason you clicked on this video, which is bashing on the existence of a virtual ability. In case you are very new to the game and got lost in the YouTube algorithm which somehow led you to me, then don't worry, I'll just quickly go over what is the Protection Suzu and how it works so we are all on the same page. To all of you laughing right now, because how can you not know what the Suzu is, right? Remember that Overwatch 2 went free to play not so long ago, so new players are still something very important to the entire community of this game. So let's not be afraid to treat everyone equally and make sure we are all on the same page. Maybe you will learn something new too, so listen carefully. Protection Suzu is an ability of a support hero, Kiriko. I don't have the game on console, but on PC it is bound to E. After casting the ability, you throw an arcing projectile that, upon hitting any surface, grants all allies in a small area of effect invulnerability. They get cleansed from most negative effects from the game, and they get 50 health points back. To give you a better view what negative effects mean, here are some of the things that fall into this category. Anti-heal granted from enemy Ananate, discord granted from enemy Zenyatta, being slept, being stunned, being struck with a dangerous explosive, sonic arrows, aids, and many more. It can affect the caster too, so throwing the Suzu right at your feet can give you all the benefits I just mentioned too. While under the effect of Suzu, you are also becoming a ghost for exactly 0.85 seconds. While in the ghost form, all dangerous objects pass through you. Yes, a charging Reinhardt is also a dangerous object. And yes, he will charge through you if you time your throw correctly. On top of that, if the ability still sounded too weak to you, it can also lightly knock back enemies from the impact area. This isn't something major, it's more of a stupid bonus thrown in to make sure you don't get stuck inside your enemies. This godly sack of mysterious powder shockingly has some exceptions, if the wiki is correct, that is. Apparently, you can't escape the Graviton Surge of Zarya and Gravitic Flux of Sigma. Guess if you want to counter a 14-second cooldown Suzu, then all it takes is an ultimate ability of some tanks. Neat. So, why exactly is majority of community unhappy with this rather simple ability? Simply put, it's all summed up in one word: denial. Humans naturally don't like being denied things that they really want.
Shit.
But can I move?
It's like seeing a delicious cookie in the store but have no money to buy it. Of course you will be pissed and feel that now empty void space where the cookie was supposed to be. But lucky for us, we sometimes have some money on us and can buy the product we want. In case of the Suzu, it hurts even more because you are putting some kind of effort, you are giving some value in, and the Suzu erases it no matter how little or how big your effort was, and no amount of money can fix it. Can you imagine paying for a cookie and the shop is like, okay fam, now give me the same amount once more, kek. That's like double the frustration you already had with the not having the cookie experience. Translating this to Overwatch language, the Suzu doesn't care if you use the simple Discord orb or a mini nuclear bomb. The result is always the same, the effort is denied. Of course, it will make people annoyed or even angry. Most of the times, the cleansed ability is something mild and it has medium impact on the outcome of the teamfight. The problem comes when it counters entire pushes with ults, plans and great execution, because cleansing something bigger than a simple Sombra hack usually leads to an entire flip between the teams. You thought your team was winning because you are pushing in with a sound barrier and a speed boost from Lucio. To get close, your shatter is ready and you get the beautiful angle of all 5 enemy players on the screen screen grouped up. No shields in the way, you launch your hammer into the ground and all of the enemies are still standing there, like nothing ever happened. Because Kiriko decided it's time to be a Grandmaster player just this one time. It's moments like this that make me want to do not so good things to the person who thought it was a good idea to put something like this in a game. A team full of morons that didn't position correctly found themselves at the wrong place in the wrong moment, and all of it can be fixed with one ability. I want to emphasize once again that Kiriko can do this every 14 seconds. And don't even get me started with the super fun and awesome combo of Swift Step and Suzu. Even if the 4 apes are misplaced and Kiriko is smart, she can travel to any of her allies to drop the Suzu bomb and basically play the game for them. Giving this much power to one hero isn't something healthy for the game in my opinion. Once more, I'll compare the Protection Suzu with the Immortality Field. The lamp will not stop the shatter, and you and your team will still get stunned while you are stunned. The field will most likely break or be disabled by the rest of the opponent's team, so why is this ability on almost 2 times longer cooldown? We are slowly reaching the topic of possible changes to make the Suzu more fair and fun to play against, because let's not lie here, it is super satisfying to save your team from the mistakes they do. I usually try to do more than just ramble on and on about a video game mechanic on this channel, so to add some spice to this video, I invited some other people to join in on the fun. We have OG, Kawaii Yuno, and some other anonymous individuals that preferred to stay anonymous. I highly recommend checking these 2 guys out after watching this video for some good homemade baked content. Links in the top of the description. I asked all of those people individually 3 simple questions that are all around the topic of Kiriko and her Protection Suzu. Here they are one by one. The first question was, what are your overall thoughts on the Protection Suzu? A very open question, no specifications, just asking what they think, and I can't lie, I was surprised by some of the answers. So let's start with the one I agree with the most. Kawaii Yuno. I think Suzu is a unique and cool ability, however, it does way too much. Cleanse, invulnerability, heal and knockback, it's also AoE. Should be a single target, kinda like Brickpack. And okay, here Kawaii is getting a little too ahead of himself, but he's 100% right. As a single ability that isn't on a very punishing cooldown like Mercy Resurrect, it can accomplish so much with so little effort. Here we can see an emphasis on the AoE attribute. AoE means area of effect in case you weren't aware of it, but I must unfortunately agree on this one. The potential to do so much with so little is a little bit busted, but let's take a look at what others have to say about this ability. It's a very interesting ability, though arguably the design isn't great for the game with such fast TTK, and kills having such importance, it's like a reverse Mercy Res. Once again, I will agree with the fact that Overwatch has a fast TTK, and once again TTK stands for time to kill. So for example, Widowmaker has a very low, if any, TTK, because her kills are usually instant. But most of the tanks have a higher TTK to balance the amount of health points they behold. I'm not sure what my friend meant with the reverse res though, but once again kills having such big importance is emphasized even more with the now lower count of players per team, that is now 5 instead of previous 6. Lastly, I have a rather controversial opinion, but at the same time a very interesting one. OG. I like Suzu. It's always gonna be a point of contention though, like BAP Immortality, purely because of what it does. So what I understand from OG take is that overall abilities that provide players with immortality are rather controversial. Support role at the beginning was just a simple healing role, but the more heroes are added, the more difficult it gets to add something original, something useful and fun. Blizzard, as we can clearly see now, sees an opportunity in adding abilities that aren't meant for healing, but rather preventing dying entirely. And boy, let me tell you, making someone immortal for a short duration doesn't sound like the best idea to execute this concept, especially with how easy and diverse it is to do. I also asked the same question to my fiancée, and she said that Protection Suzu is a very sharp double-edged sword. It's easy to use, so you will benefit from it very often if the Kiriko is in your team, but then this logic applies to the opposite team as well, where it's really easy to get annoyed with how effective the Suzu is, and I think this concludes the first question very well, so let's now move on to the second question, which was, if you could change one thing about Protection Suzu, what would it be? So here I wanted my lab rats to get more creative, more ambitious, and see what these bright minds can come up with to maybe balance things out in their opinions. And we will start once again with OG, as his answer is really something else. OG! I don't really know what you could change honestly. You can change how long its effects last, but that just makes it hard for lower tier players to utilize and get any value from. You could get rid of the cleanse, but then it's just a shittier map field. You could also get rid of the invul, but then it's just a cleanse and is useless against anything other than JQ or Ana. There's a lot of unpack here, so let's slowly get through the entire answer segment by segment. He mentions the lower tier players, which is great. It shows he considers a wider range of players when answering this question. Unfortunately, if we all think this way, the game wouldn't be as fun as it could be. If we decide to lower the skill ceiling too much, there would be nothing for the better players who carve skilled mechanics and high risk, high reward type of gameplay. In my eyes, lowering the duration time would benefit everyone, as the effect would not only reward even more skilled timings, but also it would create a more dynamic environment. As previously mentioned, Overwatch is a game with a decent TTK, so the shorter an ability lasts, the more fast-paced and intense the fights can get, and that leads to more fun for the experienced players. I'll quickly diverge from the main topic and talk about dynamic abilities. Genji's dash is the best example here. If we decide to lower his speed while dashing so the less experienced players could find themselves better, and maybe make it easier for everyone to track where Genji went, you just make a less fun character. Making the game boring and slow for the sake for the less skilled players just pushes the more extreme and fun-seeking players away. Same with Wrecking Ball, lowering his speed would just make him less fun and easier to track down by all players. Alrighty, going back on track. Suzu has so many uses like cleansing and knockback that lowering the duration time really sounds like a great idea. Next we have getting rid of some attributes like leaving out the cleanse or the invulnerability, but I think this problem of overloading a hero could be solved if we did something similar to Moira's kit, where you can choose between healing orb or damage orb. Kiriko could be able to throw a cleansing sack or the immortality ghost sack, therefore increasing the skill ceiling for an already difficult character, creating diverse metas across different player bases, so everyone has something great to accomplish big numbers with in games. You don't see bronze players utilizing Sojourn to her highest potential, and you usually don't see Reapers in the highest elo. OG also mentions that with some of the changes, the only heroes the Suzu would affect would be an Ana or a Junker Queen. But I'm pretty sure this was just a rushed thought, as Suzu can cleanse way more than just that. My two other friends had a brain link for a split second, as they both answered the same thing, which is making the Suzu work similar to Bridget's pack, where the caster cannot be affected by it and the effect of the ability is granted only to the single target it was thrown to. This is a strange territory we are getting into, as if we had the change implemented, many things had to be adjusted to make up for the singular target thing, such as the cooldown, range, and many more. I don't have a specific say in this field, it's definitely an idea, just not the best and not the worst. The final answer to the second question that I agree with the most is this. So yeah. So the next and the last question was rework Kiriko entirely, yes or no? I know, it's not strictly Suzu related, but I just wanted to see what my subjects had to say about the entire hero's kit, and surprisingly every single person that I asked answered no to this question. So no matter the hate towards the Suzu or the entire kit of Kiriko, she doesn't need or deserve a rework, at least according to the small amount of people I asked. At the end, cleansing is a very unique ability that only Kiriko is capable of doing, which is great. Every new mechanic that is original is very good and healthy for the game. A little surprise to you, because the interactive segment isn't over, as I rolled out a massive post on my social tab over here on YouTube to also include you guys into my video. And just a heads up, if you want to participate and be included in my videos, then go ahead and subscribe. Just look how long you are watching this video, man. I think this clearly deserves a sub. No pressure though, no pressure. So, what do you guys think about the Suzu? We have this fella who thinks Suzu counters Junkrat, but honestly, at this point, it's harder to name a hero that isn't countered by Suzu. And also, we have the biggest Suzu enjoyer over here, who clearly made his mind up already. How does one ability ruin the entire game? Taking into consideration everything we went through in this video, it's a pile of valid points. starting from destroying the baseline time to kill to destroying the team's morale, where an entire push can be countered with a single press of a button. Let's quickly play the devil's advocate here for a second and consider these arguments.
Suzu isn't the only single press of a button ability that is able to shut down the most powerful abilities in the game. We also have grannies with sleep darts, huge black men with oversized gauntlets, and retired math teachers who throw giant boulders.
What I wanted to mention here are stuns more specifically, but it just so happens that Suzu is the easiest one of them all. Sleep Dart can only hit one target, if it hits it that is. Doomfist puts himself in danger by charging in the enemy team and has a risk of missing his punch, which usually leads to his death if he doesn't have the second ability to escape. And Sigma has to actually aim and directly hit his fairly big projectile. Suzu only punishes the player when it's used on a minor inconvenience and the enemies notice it and call it out.
It's super satisfying and fun to save your teammates with Suzu, and overall playing Kiriko is super fun.
Well, yes. But remember, the same amount of fun you are having is translated into the amount of rage your opponents are faced with. The fact that Kiriko can also appear out of nowhere and provide the Suzu to a stupid teammate just makes it even more annoying.
Even if you think Suzu's cooldown is too low, you cannot argue it's still on a longer cooldown than majority of abilities in the game.
Well, I bet it wouldn't hurt to give it an even bigger cooldown just for safety measures.
There are many more single button abilities that counter entire pushes, like the infamous defensive ults of Lucio and Zenyatta.
These are ults. We are talking about an ability with a 14-second cooldown, my guy. Alright, final thoughts. Do I think the Suzu is overpowered? Yes. Do I wish it was removed entirely? Perhaps. Do I like it? I hate it with a passion that led me to make this video. Do I think it's good for the game? Absolutely not. I give Protection Suzu 2 raw salmon out of 23 golden apples. Thanks for watching, bye bye. Secret ending! Okay, I just wanted to add this little tiny segment at the end, and the reason why is I just really appreciate you watching the whole video. If you got this far, then go ahead and start your comment with the name of your favorite food. Not only to confuse everyone else in the comment section, but also to show me how many legendary people finished the entire video. Once again, thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one. Have a lovely day, and bye bye. This time for real.